if we just spoil our clients and really go over the top for them, especially at the beginning of the case and the end of the case, they're inclined to be raving fans. The ROI on that is just incredible. Because when we talk to all these PI firms, I mean, you're talking about an average revenue per case that's in 5 figures. And so if I've got to invest, several $100s into making sure the client experience is right, all it takes is for 1 out of 30 of those folks to be of a referral source, and I've got ROI for life.
Welcome to Personal Injury Mastermind. I'm Chris Dreyer, founder and CEO of Rankings.io. Magic lives in the unexpected. Disney, Savannah Bananas, and Sam Aguiar Injury Lawyers. These 3 brands have nailed surprise and delight. This is a marketing strategy that gives clients the unparalleled experiences and service they didn't know they needed. And today's guest, Sam Aguiar, is a master. Inspirational billboards, tickets to games, high touch and low volume caseloads. All of this works together to create a lifetime client value that is through the roof. He is playing the game by his own rules and winning every time. Here's what he's doing right in the personal injury game. Let's go.
And so as we sit here in 2025, we're bigger than I ever thought we'd be. That's kind of good, kind of bad. We've got 10 lawyers, 45 people total. We've got a standalone office down in Lexington, Kentucky that we've had for like 4 years, but we bought a building last year, so that's exciting. Here in Louisville, we've got about 35 people on site. We're doing about 100 to 125 car accident cases a month. 8-figure revenue firm, all about culture, had some nice growth. It's fun times. It's a little nerve wracking in the PI world, but I wouldn't trade my job for anybody else in the world.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love Louisville. It's close. I'm Midwest, right? I'm in Marion, Illinois, and so it's awesome.
I didn't realize you were Marion.
Yeah. Marion,
So I went to Murray.
County.
I went to Murray State, and we decided whenever you basically had to throw a dart and pick St. Louis, Memphis, Nashville, or Louisville. And a lot of times we picked St. Louis, and I dated a girl who lived in Mount Vernon, and you had Carbondale, and
Yep.
Hopefully I'm speaking your language right now.
Oh yeah, you are. Yeah, I went to Carbondale. I went to SIU, and then one of
did
my
you really?
good buddies is Brendan Mullins. So he's first assistant over on the basketball team.
So is it as true as they say? Is Halloween in Carbondale just insane or what?
Well, not anymore. They kind of toned that down. I think that's why not as many people attend SIU University, but that's a whole different story.
Yeah. Well, yeah, good stuff. Like it was, I just remember going through there, and we'd always stop, I think, in Alton before we actually got to St. Louis, because there's a little mall right there. And yeah, man, this is I didn't realize you were a Saluki. That's cool.
Yeah, small world. One of the things I really like about your firm, your practice, and just your approach to everything is it just seems so client focused. I mean, everything down from the positive messages on the billboards to your guarantee to how you treat the client with the team of 3. And I want to talk about each of these individuals, but starting with the billboard advertising, you take a unique approach. It's using positive messages with your logo, and it's different than other PI firms. So talk to me about that approach.
Yeah. So everything's about the client, and everything's about, doing what's right for others. So I'm sitting here, and Chris, it's late November, and I'm working on a Saturday, and I'm looking outside, and it's already starting to look a little like January, and I'm like, man, the world's kind of crazy right now. And every year in January, I don't know what motivated you going down to Florida, but every year in January, I'm sitting here in Louisville, and I'm like, man, Louisville's cool, but not in January, and everybody's bummed. The holidays are over. I won't allow our firm to get a trial date in January because juries are bummed. Everybody's bummed. And I'm just sitting here, and I'm like, people get on Instagram and some other stuff now. It seems like they get kind of inspired when they see a nice message. So I'm like, I could do that for free, or I could go out and spend a stupid amount of money and put them on a bunch of billboards for all these folks that are commuting into work. And mental health's a real problem right now. And so I just got on Canva, and I was just writing up some things, like some little positive affirmations, like believe in yourself, or, stay strong or something, and chose the most simple font and put our little logo on it. And I sent it to my billboard rep, and I said, man, some people around this time of year after the holidays might be a little bummed, and this might give them a little positive affirmation. So why don't you go ahead and throw these up? And I'm probably not going to make any money off of them, but if nothing else, maybe there'll be a few people each day that really needed that pick me up. So we launched it in January. And as I sit here, um, 4 months later, it's kind of insane. I've gotten over 1,000 messages sent to the firm, whether through my personal email, through Facebook, through cards in the mail, through phone calls, through Google LSA messages of just people saying thanks, and it's unbelievable.
Uh-huh.
We're actually seeing ROI on this, which that was completely unexpected. We're getting direct attribution on cases where people just say billboards, and we're getting even more messages from people that say, you know, I don't know why you did this. Your marketing agency is a genius. They don't realize it's actually some non-genius lawyer that came up with it on a Saturday. And they say, I don't need a lawyer right now, but you better believe if I ever do, it's you guys. So it's been pretty incredible. And the folks that are reaching out, there's been some corporate executives. There's been nurses, doctors, lawyers, um, uh, people in recovery, you name it. And who would have thought that just driving down the road and seeing a little positive message would resonate so much to where you're actually going to call the injury lawyer that did it. And frankly, I get kind of blown away by it. It's pretty awesome. So
That is awesome. And it's so different. It's it stands out too because it is different. It is positive as opposed to it almost. So I think PI attorneys, obviously, I think there are a lot of amazing PI attorneys that really want to help the consumer, but like I think the perception from the other side is not that, not that. So when you see the injured question mark or the accident question mark has this negative connotation where you're like flipping the script and you're making them feel good about driving into work and their day. And so I think it's awesome.
it's pretty cool. And yeah, I mean, I don't like being status quo. I don't like being normal. I've got way too high of a risk tolerance. And I, if it's something that everybody else is doing, like some of the things that you talk about with, I want to be the best. I love reading how competitive you are because I don't meet many people that I feel like are as competitive as me, but it sounds like you might be up there. Um, but if somebody else is doing it, I want to do it better, whether it's AI integration of the firm scares me to death because we got to be ahead of the curve on that. Or if it's advertising, we do a lot for the community. And, it's like earlier this year, Louisville basketball, we kind of had a renaissance this year. They call it the revival because we went through 2 horrible years.
Yeah.
And I talked to my U of L guy and he's like, you want to give away some tickets? And I said, sure. I said, that sounds great. I said, what are we talking? He said, well, I can get them for you in blocks of 100. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, whatever. So I get 1,000 tickets to give away, and half of it was former clients. We put them in first come, first serve. The other half were organizations, and they ran out in like 3 hours. So I was like, God, give me 1,000 more. And they ran out, and there was one organization that had a lot of kids that hadn't got in time. So before I knew it, I was sending 2,500 people to a Louisville basketball game against Virginia that we sponsored. Now they gave me an incredible deal, like literally face value on those tickets is $50. I was able to send all these folks for $5 a piece. But my wife she just looked at me and laughed because she's like, it's always got to be over the top, doesn't it? It's like, um, but again, yeah, culture here is clients, community, and then obviously culture as well. And so that's on the bottom of my email signature. Frankly, I stole it from a guy who sent me an email, wanted a job here. He said, seems like clients and culture and community are big for you. And I was like, thanks, man. I don't know if I got to pay you for that, but I'm adopting it.
That's incredible. The grassroots, the community building, it's just so powerful. Getting belly to belly, shaking people's hands, doing those personal local things. It has a lot of power. I think when I was doing some research, it was, just a few years ago, and it could be longer, that you had like 65% of your cases from referrals. Was that, what's changed? Is it when you say referrals, is that like peer referrals or was that like
No.
consumer referrals?
No, it's a good question. So I was with a great ad agency for 12 years. CJ Advertising out of Nashville, good community. Not with them any longer, but no knock on them. It's just, it is what it is. But it was pretty cool because we would go each year and, we'd share numbers and we'd like to see where we stacked up. And every year we always led the agency in the percentage of cases that we got that were unpaid marketing. So it wasn't, so when you see referrals, it was not, B2B or anything like that. It was literally just word of mouth, didn't have to pay a dime for the case, which was awesome. But the flip side to that is that it was typically, 65 to 70, 35, 70, 30 word of mouth. So I'd look at it and I'd be like, that's amazing. But it also means that my marketing's probably not doing what it needs to be doing because, ideally I'd prefer to be 50-50 there. Um, uh, so right now, as we sit here, I think we're 58-42 still word of mouth, to paid marketing. And in this omni-channel world right now, I'm still trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. And it's by the way, what's the penguin algorithm that I read about with you? What is that, real quick? Brag about yourself because it sounds like you might have found
That
something that just
you're hitting me with a lot of stuff on
opened the
the poker,
floodgates.
the penguin. So that was the first iteration of that was around, 2011 or 12. I mean, it is a while ago. Basically, the quality, it was where Google evaluated the quality and it of your backlinks and if they were natural. Back then, I was doing affiliate marketing and I had a couple locations that I was getting all my links from. One of them was called Easy Articles. You could go there, you'd be a publisher, write articles, and it was just but it worked. It's not like today where you have to get hundreds of referring domains. I could get a few there and I could rank a site. That algorithm hit and it scrutinized the source and that tactic, and I had to make an adjustment. But yeah, that about took me out back in the affiliate marketing days.
Okay, yeah, I was curious. I'd never heard of it before. But yeah, from a podcast standpoint, I guess I'm sitting here talking in circles. Uh, some things that you brought up. If I were to, hope that someone was listening and say, what are some tangible takeaways that this guy's done right? Because I've done a hell of a lot wrong. Um, I'd say that in this day and age, what I realized, especially with cars getting safer, the alternative business structures that are coming out there, people are still going to pay a premium for good service. So, I'm still gonna go to my favorite restaurants tonight and pay what I got to pay, even if there's been some stuff that's come into town that's that tastes as good, or things like that. Um, uh, so, one of the things that we've realized is if we just spoil our clients and really go over the top for them, especially at the beginning of the case and the end of the case, because I'm big on primacy recency effect, and they're going to remember the first and the last interactions more than the middle. Um, they're inclined to go and really still talk about you, be raving fans, and that there's still folks that are out there that are going to say, you know, yeah, I'm getting hounded by all these trackers online and everybody else, but um, but I still want to go with that law firm because I know that I've got that social proof factor. Another thing that I've realized is that if if you spend a little bit of extra money on the client experience, the ROI on that is just incredible. Because when we talk to all these PI firms, I mean, you're talking about an average revenue per case that's in five figures. And so if I've got to invest, several $100s into making sure the client experience is right, like if I've got a cut fee at the end, or if after the case is done, I realize that, one of these clients has kids that are a big Louisville fan and I'm going to go get them shirts and tickets and stuff like that. Chris, all it takes is for 1 out of 30 of those folks to be of a referral source, and I've got ROI for life. So one of these things that, I know that a lot of firms right now are big on convenience, and you never have to come see us. We're going to literally from day one, it's going to be on the phone and then it's going to be online. And then we're going to get the money direct deposit in your account. I'm all for that to a certain extent, except for the fact that you've completely missed the opportunity to at least have one in-person interaction with that client. And so I see a lot of my competition out there right now really adopt that model, and the convenience is there. But if you miss that opportunity to at least just see them in person and show them that you're real and show them that you really do care, I don't know if they're going to be inclined to, as inclined to send you business in the future.
I think I said I love this previously, but I love every statement you just said. It's incredible. You look at all the different models of firms, like there's a lot of variations of it. And I think I think I've heard John Morgan refer to this as systemic marketing. I think that's the phrase that he puts on it because he, meets the people and he gets a heavy amount of referrals. And you're talking, I've that percentage that you get is absolutely mind blowing, and just how powerful it is. I mean, it's just incredible. Um, you know, I think it's everything you're doing. I think it's the whole flywheel. It's the positive message. It's the interaction. It's the care. I imagine, where you're at 700 plus reviews, asking for a review at the end. It's not like, bribing them to leave a review. They've had this end-to-end experience. So it's like, absolutely, let me leave a review.
Mhm. It's so cool that you say that because it's just a coincidence. But in the last 2 hours, I've had, I really, I'm here. I'm here every day. Um, I, I, I love everything about what I do, and I really love that last interaction with the client. So the folks here know, if clients coming in, I'm here. Let's get a picture. Let's do a video. Let me talk to him because the reality is too, is that it's only taken me a few minutes, and I can also issue spot things, about the experience. If for some reason I'm with somebody and I'd sense any sort of apprehension, like there was just something that they are leaving confused about, we're going to make it right there. But in the last hour and a half, I've had 3 clients come in just coincidentally that picked up their settlement checks. And it, first thing I say is, how was it? Did my guys treat you okay? And they're just beaming. All 3 of the groups came in. Yes, absolutely. And I'm like, well, listen, it's awesome. Um, but then I've got some gift cards put aside too. So I'm like, hey, so if it's a grandma, I'm usually going to her and saying, hey, do your grandkids like to go to the movies or they like McDonald's? They love McDonald's. Well, cool. Here's my stash. Here you go. Um, uh, but I'm not the one who asked them for the Google review. The team that's handling the case has already said, hey, listen, if you had a good experience, we'd love a review. It goes a long way, more than more than I really legit, more than I knew how important Google reviews are. They're so freaking important. And all 3 of them left, and I think 2 of them, we've already got the notification that they left us Google reviews. So
That's amazing.
it's the Google review part's the added bonus, but just seeing them walk out, getting the hold the door for them. I've got a celebrity factor, which I haven't earned and I don't deserve. But the reality is if your name's on billboards and you're on TV and stuff, they don't realize you're just paying to be in front of them. They look at you as, a big deal. And it's cool. And I think that they see that it's genuine. They see that it's real. And my team at least knows that they're not bothering me when they come to the office and they say, hey, client photograph. Immediately they know I'm like, heck yeah, let's go. Let's roll. Let's do this because let's be real. You talk about John Morgan. He's a genius. He really is. I'm not a Morgan and Morgan basher. And I've even got a backstory with Morgan and Morgan where they bought my firm in 2013. And in 30 days, I bought it back for a lot more than I'd sold it for
Didn't
because
know that.
we were cultural misfits. Most people don't know
Hmm.
that. But I still admire them. The way they do things is incredible. It works. We see the numbers from a brand sentiment analysis around here. I was just talking to one of my guys about it. They dominate everywhere they go, and John is a genius. But um, I know I'm at least smart enough to know that when I wake up each day, that I'm not going to try to beat Morgan and Morgan at their own game. That's just not going to happen. So the things that I'm always looking for, what do we have that are the intangibles that that's almost impossible for them to have? Because, like you said earlier, we have teams of 3 and small caseloads. So we get really personal with our clients. They can't do that under their model. It's not a knock on them. It's just different. His tech is great. They're more efficient than we are, but we can get a little bit more personal with the clients. And if you go to a lot of our competitors, their front door's locked, or they're a
Not
lot of them are
there.
fully or a lot of them are fully remote or close to it. And again, that's just the path that they've chosen to take and what works for them. But with us, it's the client.
That's awesome.
It's the client.
Yeah,
So,
I wanted to kind of, we hit the advertising and the kind of that component, that case management structure. So, there's this stigma around case management, and I work with firms that advertise, but you have the 3 people per case: the lawyer, the case manager, the legal assistant. How does this method of case handling take away any stigma associated with being an advertising firm? So tell me about that particular, that pod, that team structure.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a in the traditional sense, it's a pod model, but it's going to be low case loads to the point where we can our touch points with the client are very frequent. It's my standard used to be every 2 weeks you needed to have some sort of meaningful, positive communication where there's an update. But now it's even more than that because of this era. So we haven't implemented any sort of trigger based automations, which frankly we should. Certain action items trigger at least a text message to the client, things along those lines. But we're at least early on, there's going to be multiple contacts the first week with the client. A few weeks into the case, if there were some sort of orthopedic concerns or something that was going to warrant a doctor to order some early imaging, we want to be right on that because we want to make sure first and foremost that uh, we've got the information coming in to where we can kind of build our own internal evaluation of the case, but we want to make sure that our clients getting access to medical treatment that they need. A lot of our cases, so our time on desk, I hope it does. I think it'll blow you away. It's 6.5 months. So it's 203 days is our average time on
Wow.
desk. And the reason why is because we've really, learned how to figure out early when a case is worth the policy limits and go get it. Because you're not doing your client any service if there's a minimum limits policy out there and you're letting their treatment rack up, the amount of their lien rack up. If I've only got minimum coverage, or as soon as that case is worth the limits, I need to get it for them then because they need the money.
Hmm.
And because the best thing I can do for them at that point, knowing that I can't get them full value because their case is worth more than the insurance coverage, is to get them that coverage as quickly as possible and get that lien down. So, yeah, average time on desk is 203 days. Median time on desk, I think, is like 150 days. And this isn't because they're treating and getting released and we're taking a discount. It's because we're going out there and getting those policy limits as quickly as possible. Um, and so that's a lot of the positive feedback that we get too. A recurring theme that we get through our reviews is, way faster and way more than what I thought was going to happen. And uh, that's the benefit to a big pod, or
Hmm.
or to 3 people, smaller caseloads. You extract the full value quicker, more touch points with the client. The challenge becomes is that it does my labor costs are a lot higher than my competition when you look at revenue to labor overhead. I can't have a marketing budget that competes, or it competes, but I can't have a marketing budget of Morgan and Morgan or Daryl Isaacs. Again, I'm betting on my people and spending more on them and having to spend a little less on marketing. It works for me, but what they do works for them too. So.
A lot of times people think of marketing as just like the prospective client, like getting them in, but there's also marketing to the existing client and then the afterwards. So I think that pod, like, well, that's kind of helping on those other situations, getting you the referrals, and the word of mouth. So I still think it has a different flywheel effect. The the other thing, I that's the fastest I've heard time on desk. So that the cash acceleration cycle, I
It's
know
pretty cool. Yeah.
Farron over in North Carolina had, when I talked to him, James, I remember I was impressed by his, and to be honest, that's one of those questions that as a marketer I need to ask more about, because I always ask like the average fees, but I never ask about time on desk, and that's very important metric.
It is. It's I used to get jealous, and then I realized why it wasn't feasible here. So I go and I listen to all these brilliant masterminds. Mike Morse and John. They get up and talk, and I'd want to scream out, "That's not possible!" When they would say, "Listen, at the beginning of the year, we can tell you within a very small, within 2%, or now they say 0.5% or something, what our revenue is going to be for the year." I'm like, "No, you can't." And then I hear some other firms say it, and I'd be like, "No, you can't." But then I realized is that the life cycle on their cases is over a year. So the reality is that I'd still challenge them on that whole 0.4, 0.5% thing. But I could see now why they could have those, forecasting. But it's tougher for us because of we're going to cycle 2 for every one of theirs. And that makes it a little challenging. But at the same time, it's a good problem to have. So,
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, I think the only other practice area had Smith Smith on a while back, Don Smith and Curtis. I think the nursing home practice, but those look, I'm not a lawyer, so I may be talking incorrectly here, but it just seems like nobody wants to take those to trial. Like you're going to talk about someone's grandma to the jury. Like for whatever those that are qualified, it seems like that's how they're getting those, the short time on desk. And I could be totally off there. Yeah. So, the other thing too is you've got the bigger share guarantee. So let's just briefly touch on that. I think you mentioned it earlier, but just what that is. That's another, on that client service, consumer first. Just for our audience, what is that?
I'm glad you asked about that. It's 2 things. We're a flat 35%. So there's firms that probably go 33 and third still. We're a flat 35, but we don't bump it when it goes to litigation. So at least personally, my thought process is that I don't ever want to give off the impression that we filed suit to pad our own wallet. It's if we're filing suit, there is a strategic reason for it. Either it's a trucking case and we need to file early for a to make sure that we get some good discovery because that's where the money is in the trucking cases, or it's because there's an early liability dispute, or it's because it's an insurance carrier that we know that the defense attorney that they typically assign is going to be a lot more reasonable to deal with. There's a ton of reasons why we could file early, and I want the client to know that we filed to get them a better result, not because we want to go from 35 to 40% or anything like that. The bigger share guarantee was something that, again, I just woke up one morning and I'm like, we've always done this, but we've never actually marketed it. Our client's walk away will never be less than what we're getting. The reason why it came about stems from when I was a baby lawyer. It was back in 2009. It was going to be my first jury trial. I was with a volume firm. Um, they were from Florida, but they'd set up shop up here. I learned by fire. It was amazing. God bless them for throwing me to the wolves. I did intake for a whole year, went into 1,500 living rooms. That's why I'm client service focused now, because I learned about them then. But they started litigating house. I had a case that I'd worked up that one of the guys had given to me, and the offer went from $30,000 to $175,000 on the courtroom footsteps. Amazing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that after all the numbers worked out, I had to sit there and tell our client, hey, listen, like your walkaway is gonna be 25 grand. And there was medical liens, we were 40% at the firm I was at. And the judge calls me up and he says, hey, counselor, I don't, you look pretty young. Looks like, you're not calling the show for this law firm. But I said, well, yeah, that's right. And he said, well, I'm just going to tell you, back in my day, I had a rule when I was a plaintiff's lawyer, and client always got more money than I did. So you got a fair offer right here. It was a damn good offer. And so I went and picked up the phone and called the bosses down in Florida. Nice guys, really, really nice guys. And we cut by 10 grand on that one. We still got more than they did, and the doctor still got more. And ultimately, that was actually the driving force behind my decision to open up my own firm. And nothing against them again. But now I see today, fast forward to today, that still happens. We get some people that come to us and they've had a car accident in the past and they've told us about their experience, and it's unfortunate. I mean, I know a lot of firms now, I think they start at 40% for car accident cases, go to 45% for litigation. And there's some states that regulate it, but not here in Kentucky. So I just, Chris, I'm doing just fine. My firm's going to do just fine if we got to guarantee that our clients are going to get more than us. They're the ones that got hurt. They're the ones that are going through this process. We're doing the best we can, and we're going to get them a hell of a lot more than they would have got on their own. But I can't go home in good conscience and say I just took 80 grand off of a case and my client took 50. It's just not the right thing to do. So I woke up and said, we're going to go ahead and make this part of our unique value proposition, I think is what they call it in marketing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So So that's our bigger share guarantee. We've always done it, but last year I decided to actually coin it, and got a trademark on it too. So
I saw the little TM, and yeah, that's
yeah,
awesome. And uh, it it fits like bigger share guarantee, the pod, the reviews, the positive messages. Like it just fits. It sounds like who you are and how you want your firm to be represented, and I think that's awesome.
yeah. It makes it easy from a recruitment standpoint. I'll tell you because um, I say this a lot, but I can train most people to do what we do, um, but you can't train people to be nice. You have to have a culture that's service industry. I waited tables for a long time,
Me too.
and so to me, like if you got this impeccable background, you got this great skill set, but it's pretty damn obvious that you are averse to people that our clients are that you're gonna argue with them, that you always have to be right, then there is a job out there for you at a law firm, and you're gonna excel at it, and they're gonna put you in a spot where you can, but it's not here. Like it's just there's if I'd much rather have a person here that is genuinely excited when their client comes in and wants to go over the top to make sure that the experience is incredible than someone that and if that person might miss a comma or not use the right template, send out a letter of representation, I'll take that person over the person that sends out these amazing letters but is going to let all their calls go to voicemail. So
I'm with you. I'm with you. And I had that me and the wife joke about the waiting tables that we're going to put our boy, and he's definitely going to be serving at a restaurant because it builds a lot of character. Because you can't make every one of those customers happy, waiting tables. But
no, but it builds the entrepreneurial side in you too.
mhm.
I still have the dream of hopefully some people that are listening right now can appreciate this, but I still have the dream about once every 2 months that I'm in the weeds and I'm I got to fill up 12 drinks and then I'm getting sat at another table and this and that, and then I wake up and I'm like, oh thank God, like it's but I still get it. I break up in a
Mhm.
cold sweat. My wife's like, what's going on? I'm like, I dreamed I was waiting tables again. She looks at her, she's like, oh okay. So
Oh, that's amazing. Sam, this has been incredible. Final question: where can our audience go to learn more and connect with you?
well, I'm pretty easy to find. It's demandsam.com. Uh, I can be a little introverted at times, even though it doesn't come across that way. So and I can get a little behind on email. So but direct lines 502-813-8900. There's lawyers listening here. Cell phones 502-991-2491. I'm responsive. I love to help people out, and certainly I love to learn from others too.
That was Sam Aguiar sharing how his client-first approach drives referrals and success. Exceptional service at the beginning and end of a case creates lasting impressions and raving fans for life. For more strategies to grow your personal injury practice, subscribe to Personal Injury Mastermind. I'm Chris Dreyer. Catch you next time.